And now I give the floor to His Excellency Denis Ronaldo Moncada, Colindres, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Nicaragua.
Su Excelencia,
Your Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, Your Excellency Maria Fernanda Espinosa Garcés, President of the General Assembly, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of member states, distinguished delegates, receive a message of peace from the people of Nicaragua and from President Comandante Daniel Ortega and Vice President Rosario Murillo. 3 years after the adoption of the 2030 Agenda, we continue to bear witness to a world in crisis originated by savage capitalism, interference, and violations of international law and the sovereignty of our peoples, with the use of force, attempts at coup d'etat and destabilization that threaten the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals set forth in the 2030 Agenda. Nicaragua has resisted the attempts at a coup d'etat. Our country once again has won peace, fraternal coexistence, and the progressive return of normal daily life. The attempted coup d'etat we overcame in Nicaragua is a result of this interventionism. It has left us with serious damage and a serious aftermath, such as economic damage, death, destruction, and terrorism. Terrorism disguises peaceful protest with the vicious killings of citizens, policemen, setting public and private property on fire, assaults, rape, extortion, torture, and cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment. In our region, Nicaragua is highly recognized as a factor for regional stability, peace, and security, with important positive indicators in economic, political, and social development, poverty reduction, gender equity, and citizen security. Nicaragua is a barrier against international organized crime, the maras, the gangs, terrorism, and drug trafficking activity, all state policies which we continue to develop. The government and the people of Nicaragua defend the principle of independence and sovereignty as established by the Charter of the United Nations. We therefore demand and insist on the cessation of any interventionist policy in violation of international law, with interventionist actions in Nicaragua and against the fraternal peoples of our Americas and of the world. The government and the people of Nicaragua have worked in a sustained fashion to meet the objectives of the 2030 Agenda. Until April of this year, our country was experiencing sustained economic growth of approximately 4.7% per year. Our projects and our social and economic programs to eradicate general poverty at the national level achieved a reduction from 42.5% in 2009 to 24.9% in 2016. Extreme poverty went down from 14.6% in 2009 to 6.9% in 2016. Today, once again, we are facing the threat of the United States to curb the social, economic, and cultural development of our people. We denounce this intervention and interference with a bill in the U.S. Congress ordering international financial organizations to oppose the granting of loans to Nicaragua. For Nicaragua to contribute to international peace means achieving general and complete nuclear disarmament. This is why we have signed and ratified the first treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. We call on other countries to join us in ratifying this historic treaty. The government of the Republic of Nicaragua supports the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula through dialogue and communication between the authorities on both sides. We welcome the rapprochement between the two Koreas and the holding of the Third Inter-Korean Summit, as well as the joint declaration of September in Pyongyang that was agreed upon by the two Korean leaders and which is seen as a breakthrough to alleviate the tension on the peninsula and to substantially eliminate the danger of war in the entire peninsula. The government of the Republic of Nicaragua hopes that nuclear weapons will be dismantled in a complete, verifiable, and irreversible manner, and that the countries involved will cooperate and in this way ensure a firm and lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. The government of Nicaragua supports the nuclear negotiations between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the E3 EU+3, which led to the completion of the Joint Action Plan, or JCPOA, on July 14, 2015. We emphasize that this agreement demonstrates that dialogue and diplomacy are the most appropriate means to solve these problems as an essential part of making multilateralism work. Nicaragua condemns the criminal blockade of our sister Republic of Cuba and all its extraterritorial measures and ramifications. Nicaragua rejects any coercive economic measure to try to break the will and spirit of freedom and sovereignty of peoples and governments. For our country, the use of unilateral coercive economic measures is unacceptable as a selective political instrument to illegally change governments. This year, once again, we will vote against the unjust blockade. Our sister Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, its Bolivarian people, and the legitimate government of President Nicolás Maduro have our full solidarity. We have condemned the attempt to assassinate President Nicolás Maduro and the threat of military intervention against the people and the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. We must continue supporting decolonization in the world. We must support the Palestinian, Sahrawi, Puerto Rican peoples and the Malvinas Islands of Argentina. Nicaragua advocates the creation of the two states, the State of Israel and the State of Palestine, with East Jerusalem as its capital, within the borders of 1967, living together in peace and harmony. We reiterate our complete solidarity with the government and the people of Syria in their fight against international terrorism and in the defense of their sovereignty and territorial integrity. Humanity continues to clamor for peace. Yet even after 73 years, our organization has not managed to fully comply with the objectives set for peace. Given this deplorable situation, the call for the reinvention of the United Nations is urgent, as proposed by the Nicaraguan foreign minister and priest, Miguel de Escoto, during his presidency of this General Assembly. To achieve this, we must bring about the unavoidable, sorely needed change for this organization to serve the interests of all its members and humanity as a whole. we wish to stress that while holding the presidency of this General Assembly in 2008, Father Miguel de Escoto, may he rest in peace, who we rightfully call the Foreign Minister of Dignity of Nicaragua, developed precisely these ideas and fought for them until the end, fulfilling the mandate of Nicaragua to lay the foundation for the discussion of these transformations with his proposal document, The Reinvention of the United Nations. We need urgent action to combat climate change. The principle of common but differentiated responsibility remains in force, and the major sources of emissions and those responsible for degradation, and natural imbalances must recognize our losses and damage and contribute to the recovery of life on Mother Earth and of the peoples of the world. To achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we need to strike down the unilateral coercive measures that violate international law and block the development plans of our countries. We must work for justice, peace, respect, dialogue, and sovereign security in the world. In order to do this, we must promote the indispensable transformation for this organization to serve the interest of all its members. Our government and our people advocate a world with values, where human beings can count on the best of themselves, the best of ourselves, to foster the best possible conditions for fair, sustainable, equitable, secure, and sovereign development, and for progress in science and technology reflected in all areas of our lives to be accessible and shared by all. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we bring the greetings and the hope of the Nicaraguan people that at this 73rd session, the commitment that we make will result in an open, far-reaching process of reflection towards the mandatory transformation for the reinvention and democratization of the United Nations. President, to conclude, we affirm our commitment to continue fighting for peace, which is the priority for our world, for our peoples. We reaffirm that the conflicts that arise in different regions of our planet can be overcome through dialogue, through negotiation, and above all, free from the use or threat of the use of force. This is what all of our peoples long for, from the peoples of the great powers to small states that may be small in population, that may be small in development, but that are great in their values and history. Thank you very much.
I thank His Excellency Denis Ronaldo Moncada Colindres, the Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Nicaragua, for his statement. I now give the floor to His Excellency Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, Secretary for Relations with States of the Holy See. You have the floor.